You check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movies.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today. I had explosive diarrhea all night.
I like big boobs.
Oh, hamburgers.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did. Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor. And she lived happily ever after? Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine. That's nice.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Yeah. Weird.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a bitch all the time.
Weird.
I don't need your business.
And everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I don't need your business. Thanks.
Big mouth Rachel Zegler just got hit with another brutal humiliation, and this time it's South Park bringing the heat. In their latest episode, the legendary animated series goes all in, roasting Zegler and the total disaster that was Disney's Snow White remake.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And then I see Butters, and he's like, "Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch?" And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse? But then Kenny's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy's just like, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stocks? No, Kathleen Kennedy.
The fake movie inside the episode, it's called Woke White, the Reinvention.
You think it's perfectly normal that Cartman is suddenly a black woman?
You probably don't like that Indiana Jones got replaced by a female either, huh? Probably have a problem with Black Spider-Man, too.
The best part? They did it with that signature South Park swagger. No filters, no apologies, just pure, unfiltered chaos.
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
And yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. A full-blown mockery of Disney's cringe attempt to modernize a beloved classic. Zegler's already drowning in bad headlines, fan backlash, and a box office flop no one can pretend didn't happen. Most people didn't even know who she was until she started running her mouth.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple.
A wishing apple?
You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not, First Love's kiss can break any curse.
And now, South Park's turning her into a national joke, a parody everyone's going to see. Sources close to Rachel say she's furious, like absolutely losing it behind the scenes. And no, she's not laughing, not even close.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
After the episode aired, chaos exploded online. Clips of the parody spread like wildfire. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, you name it. Memes were flying. Reaction videos blew up. And in the middle of it all, Rachel Zegler.
Like, who has been the most exciting person for you tonight? Oh my God. Besides, but shut, took the word out of my mouth. Besides.
What the hell is even that?
Because right now there's more dwarves on this podcast than there are in the new Snow White movie. And that's probably due to Peter Dinklage.
Yep.
When I was a child, I used to think Snow White was a Japanese lady. She has geisha-like pale skin, black hair, and tends to 7 ugly white men.
Who's the Disney character you identify with most? Mickey, Nemo, Peter Pan, or Dumbo? Dumbo. That's sad, but yeah, like...
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
So will she rise or bow her head? Will she lead or just be led?
She didn't just ignore it. Insiders say she demanded that Comedy Central pull the episode. That's right. She contacted her team and pressured the network to ban the entire thing. She called it defamatory, targeted, and dangerously humiliating. But here's where it gets even more humiliating. As if South Park torching her on national TV wasn't enough, now everyone wants a piece of Rachel Zegler. She's become Hollywood's favorite punchline, and The Simpsons just joined the party.
All that walking made me sleepy. This bed's too hard. This bed's too soft. And this bed is just like the first one. Also too hard. I guess I'll sleep in the one that's too soft.
Yep, even though The Simpsons is technically part of Disney, that didn't stop them from going all in with their own savage parody of Zegler and the Snow White disaster.
Because a woman shouldn't have to depend on a man. Snow White was brought back to life by a lady doctor.
And she lived happily ever after?
Well, she couldn't indulge in strenuous activities like handball, but otherwise, she was fine.
That's nice.
The episode features a fake reboot called Snow Woke, the Reimagining, a not-so-subtle jab at Disney's failed attempt to update the classic fairy tale. And the character, a preachy, self-obsessed princess who thinks she's too good for fairy tales, true love, and apparently, audiences.
Whoa! She's beautiful.
Maybe she's been placed under some kind of a curse.
And all that will wake her is the kiss of a handsome...
I'm awake already!
Guess it's you and me again, doorknob.
So Snow White slept and waited for her prince to come, but he never did.
It's almost like the entire industry is lining up to roast her, and Disney can't, or won't, stop it. You'd think Rachel would lay low, but nope, she's doubling down, and that might be her biggest mistake yet.
Excuse me, your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
Now wait, because South Park and The Simpsons aren't the only ones. The Rachel Zegler Snow White disaster just hit a new level, and now Jack Black is at the center of it. According to reports, the Hollywood legend confronted Zegler directly after her controversial interviews went viral, and insiders say the clash pushed her straight into therapy. Zegler was supposed to be Disney's golden ticket. Cast as Snow White in the remake of the very film that built Disney's empire, it should have been the role of a lifetime. Instead, it's turned into a career crisis.
You always want to tell a fun, exciting story, and every time I've ever made a movie, I go into it going, I want this to be the best movie ever made.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes
off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Jack Black reportedly believes that Snow White's failure goes beyond Rachel Zegler's controversial comments. Insiders say he also blames Gal Gadot, claiming both actresses delivered stiff, unconvincing performances that lacked heart and connection.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
You had one job.
Just the one? Kalel, no. Max Lord, you're putting yourself and everyone else in grave danger. I need you to give me the stone. What happened to it?
What did you say?
So exciting. Very interested to find the men who brought those.
Why should I help you?
Because we're asking you nicely.
Just tell me what it costs to get her away from me. Name a price. I'll buy the whole damn boat if I have to. Who are you? The lasso of Hastia compels you to reveal the truth. Now, who are you?
But who?
Enough. I said enough.
As Amazons, this is our duty. You have no idea what kind of power you're dealing with.
According to sources close to the situation, Black felt the on-screen chemistry was non-existent and the acting was soulless, a major reason the film failed to resonate with audiences. Joe Rogan and Bill Maher rarely see eye to eye on much, but when it comes to Rachel Zegler's so-called woke Snow White remake, they have one message in common. This might be one of Disney's biggest flops yet. The first red flags popped up when word spread that Disney wanted to shift Snow White's narrative away from romance. Reportedly, they wanted a more empowered princess who didn't need a prince at all. On paper, that might sound harmless, yet in practice, it meant ignoring the core elements of a classic: the dwarfs, the romance, the enchanting innocence.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
She's not going to be safe with the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
Oh my God.
Suddenly, people who had planned to buy tickets started questioning whether Zegler even liked the story she'd been hired to portray. Then, it went a step further. Old social media posts revealed she'd blasted an entire political group by telling anyone who supported President Trump to go away and never know peace.
So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country, everyone who voted for Trump.
But you are not entitled to call for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, you are actually not entitled to do that. And so let me just remind you, Rachel Zegler, of what the map looks like, just so you can understand when your Disney movie is coming out, how many people you are wishing harm upon. Like, this is America right now. I will love you through these 4 years as best I can. F Donald Trump. Yeah, totally stable thing for her to be posting, wishing harm upon Trump voters, wishing that we have no peace.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo. Is it like on a metaphorical level?
Meanwhile, Bill Maher, famed for his commentary that often pokes holes in political correctness, took aim at the sheer irony of labeling the prince a stalker and removing dwarfs in the name of progress. For Maher, it was a classic example of woke culture, overcorrecting and ending up being unintentionally offensive, especially to little person actors who lost out on iconic roles.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
Then there was the subplot, or more accurately, the removal of any subplot involving romance. The original Snow White revolves around the idea of love triumphing over evil. Zegler proudly announced she had no interest in a story about a woman dreaming of a prince.
So no prince or a different kind of prince? I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Both Rogan and Maher hammered home the same point. By focusing so heavily on virtue signaling, Disney missed the obvious truth that audiences go to the movies to be entertained, not lectured. They suggested that Zegler's personal attacks on a large swath of the population only poured gasoline on the fire. If the star herself seemed hostile toward potential viewers, why would those viewers pay to see her on the big screen?
Because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film, but rather, she deserves to be in a padded cell.
Even aside from Zegler's attitude, the production decisions themselves felt like the perfect storm for disaster. The 7 dwarfs are not mere side characters. They're the heart of the original Snow White, each with distinct personalities.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures.
Then they got even crazier and they decided that the dwarves in Snow White weren't woke enough, okay?
Rather than refine the dwarfs with updated nuances, Disney decided to remove them outright or replace them with CGI magical creatures. When leaks hit the internet, fans saw bizarre images of these so-called creatures, some tall, some short, a medley of random designs.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work. That many scripts that come down the pike.
Only 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right.
Many exclaimed they looked like cheap placeholders from a forgettable fantasy flick, completely missing the distinct personalities that made the dwarfs so lovable. Little person actors were furious, pointing out that each dwarf would have been a major role they rarely get the chance to land.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs. You know?
These are roles made for actors of my stature. I can't go out for the Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles because that's not for me.
Right.
And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right.
The 7 dwarfs of Snow White have, of course, all just disappeared, and now they're the 7 dysfunctional men.
They couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
took... You have a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep. Well, they had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves. There you go.
So those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So, ho, ho, ho.
I mean, I guess, what are we going to have? Like a lesbian, a trans person, someone in a wheelchair, someone of color? Like, I don't understand. Why weren't the dwarfs enough? But apparently they were too offensive because the most famous dwarf of all, Peter Dinklage, said something negative about it back in 2022, thus ruining the biggest acting roles the dwarfs had ever seen since the creation of Willy Wonka's Oompa Loompas back in the 1970s.
Within days of release, headlines were calling it a certified bomb. The film reportedly cost over $200 million, factoring in marketing. Disney had expected at least $150 million opening weekend. Instead, it struggled to muster $43 million. That's a calamitous shortfall, especially for a legacy remake that should have been a sure thing. Some who ventured to theaters walked out complaining it felt antagonistic toward fans of the original. Doll lines and themed merchandise sat unopened on store shelves, clear signs that families were steering clear. The message from the public was unanimous. You can't stomp on tradition, insult half your audience, and expect box office gold.
Who the hell are you to say all of Andrew's could get cut? Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Are you Disney? I've read your book, and I have. It's a phenomenal book. You're losing generation of loyal viewers. When you think about Snow White, what is the premise? What is the story?
It's a love story. It's a love story.
It's a dream for a girl to grow up and a man falls in love.
I'm really upset that the biggest theme here is that it's anti-men. She called him a stalker.
As the returns trickled in, whispers emerged of internal turmoil at Disney. Insiders claim that executives were blindsided by how deeply unpopular Zegler's political comments were. Others said the creative team had tried to pivot mid-production, hence the reshoots rumored to cost millions more.
They've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow White.
Yet every interview from Zegler that surfaced only further inflamed tensions. She told the press she was proud of ditching any notion of a prince and insisted that the film was more relevant than ever. Critics joked that she was wagging her finger at the audience, scolding them for enjoying the old version. Executives scrambled for possible solutions. Should they quietly let Snow White fizzle out in theaters and hope for better results on streaming? Could they salvage the franchise with a sequel that backtracks on the changes? For now, everything looks shaky, and Disney's once unshakable brand loyalty seems to be on the line. Rachel Zegler just faced the ultimate Hollywood horror, sitting in a near-empty theater, watching her own movie flop in real time. And not even Discount Tuesday could save it. The woke Snow White remake didn't just bomb, it vanished into oblivion, leaving Zegler and a few ride-or-die friends as some of the only souls brave enough to witness the wreckage firsthand. For an actress once hailed as Hollywood's next big thing, this was a brutal reality check. Now the box office numbers are calling back, and the message is clear: no one showed up. On March 25th, 2025, Rachel Zegler pulled together a few loyal friends, Ilda Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel de Mason, for what should have been a proud moment watching her movie on the big screen. But when they walked into the theater, it looked more like a ghost town than a movie premiere. There were almost no other people around. Still, her friend Ilda tried to hype the moment. As Rachel's name popped up on the screen, Ilda yelled out, "Zegler!" with full excitement. Rachel, she gave a little awkward cheer and laughed like she was trying to pretend everything was fine. Now, no one knows if they actually rented the theater or if it was just naturally that empty. Either way, the silence was louder than any applause. Trying to make the best of it, they jumped on a viral trend. They walked up to a Regal employee, and this happened.
Please?
For which movie?
It was painfully awkward, like a birthday party no one showed up to. Even the Snow White popcorn bucket looked embarrassed. If you listen to people like Joe Rogan, Bill Maher, or other cultural commentators, this fiasco is the canary in the coal mine for Hollywood. They argue that studios are so focused on avoiding controversy that they overcorrect, and ironically cause even bigger backlash.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Meanwhile, big-name directors and producers are watching Snow White bomb, worried about the future of similar, modernized remakes. Rumors suggest some major layoffs might follow at Disney. The cost of multiple flops, like Lightyear, Strange World, and now Snow White, has battered Disney's bottom line. Investors are likely furious that a surefire classic could collapse so spectacularly.